I believe the first time the US was demoted from AA was in 2011. I'm not sure if the downgrade on Friday sends a strong message or not. We all knew what we knew on Friday afternoon, so I think the markets should understand that the bond market is already priced in the fact that the US is no longer a AAA country. That's why I see this as a chance to buy. The US is in the middle of a big financial fight right now, and we can see how this is hurting crypto markets. During this bull run, Bitcoin prices have been all over the place. Not long ago, they were at $70,000, 0 cents, and now they're over $111,000, 0 cents per coin. Of course, they've gone down a bit since then. XRP prices have been doing the same thing. There was a time when one coin was worth $3.50, but now it's back up to almost $250, 0 cents. It's really strange how quickly and drastically the prices of all of these cryptocurrencies are changing. But Tom Lee has stayed very positive through all of this doubt. He's also made a lot of good calls and predictions that have come true. He's been talking a lot lately about the latest trade war news and changes in credit ratings and how he thinks these things will affect the markets, which is what we'll talk about next. This is really cool stuff, and Tom Lee has given us some great information, so you should really pay attention. Some traders said this morning that it would hit a new high. I think today's test will be interesting. I think today's drops will be very small, and the market might even end up higher than it started because most investors sold hard at the bottom in April and then started to question. That was a good one. Is that your place, or have you heard that one before? Yes, I've heard that rage sold. Okay, Ken. So as the markets rise, a lot of people doubt it because they thought it was a rally that would fail. I think there's 7 people trying to cash in on the sidelines. Huge doubt from our institutional clients and an awful lot of people betting outside the US, being chased on your end. A lot of shorts have already been covered though, and the hedge fund guys who got it wrong and rage sold, to your point, are in a very different position now. They have positive beta to risk assets, which is not the same thing as being short. I think most people are probably flat on their books, but if the market is above its 200-day moving average, which means people are buying right now, and you're flat, that means you're not investing enough. What are your thoughts on possible changes to tax policy? The market has acted very quickly to news about taxes. How about this one? Yes, I think we should start thinking about 2026, even though it's only the middle of the year. Tax policy isn't the only thing that can be a boost. It looks like it will happen, but it's free will. It's been written that U.S. companies have to pay more than $2 trillion, 0 cents in court fees, and some say as much as $3 trillion, 0 cents. This is more important than tax cuts. I agree that we've been waiting for the rule for a while now. In this case, the always hopeful Hi Tom Lee. What are you looking at when it comes to the Magnificent Seven? Even though the NASDAQ is down today, we kept a close eye on those other markets. The Mag 7 fell first, so we think it will be in charge by the end of the year. A lot of people owned it, so it really washed out. I think Tesla was a great case study, so I think the Mag 7 will get back to where it used to be. That's why the S&P should hit its old highs and even go above them. Money issues were something that a lot of people were thinking about early on. Are you still thinking about that? Money's important, and I want the banks to do well, which they have. If I had to make a case for multiples, I would say one place where the number should go up is in expanding financials. These companies have shown they can handle volatility during Fed rate hikes, and now with all the trouble, they are also more tech focused and have better credit ratings. So I think the number should go up. It's also true that all boats rise with liquidity. I'd like to point out that the price of XRP has gone up a bit since a lot of cash has come back into the system, but it's not really altcoin season yet. XRP went from about $2, 0 cents to $250, 0 cents at its peak, which is great, but it's not even close to the price action we saw in November when it was really alter run season. Solana and all of these other altcoins were doing really well, and I really think we'll have at least one more of them in 2026. It's also when I think the Magnificent Seven will start seeing a lot of price action, so there are a few more things that will happen that will finally give all of our favorite cryptocurrencies the liquidity we've been waiting for. Tom Lee is going to add to this and make it a little clearer. Pay close attention to what he says and then stay tuned till the end for a very important lesson. Because we've taken away another black swan event, deregulation could make it easier to export. Tax cuts help people make more money, but I also think the S&P multiple should be going up. For example, did you know that the time between April and February was a black swan event? Do you think the rating makes the case for tax cuts less strong? I don't think it will make much of a difference, because the problem is what you think it should be in the end. I don't mean from the point of view of the market. I mean from the point of view of how it looks politically. Yes, it could, but the US wasn't really AAA anymore since it was only one of 3 countries. There's a big difference between what people expect inflation to be and what it actually is. A recession happens when people become cautious and cut back on spending, which is why I think people need to keep their jobs and their confidence. You should believe in the numbers instead of how you feel. This is the biggest difference between inflation and earned income that I've ever seen. I think the customer has a small chance to feel even better as long as inflation doesn't go through the roof. While a lot of people I used to work with at JPM believe that the hard numbers will eventually beat the survey work, we need to keep an eye on JP Morgan because it does a lot of work and has credit card information. In other words, it's clear that keeping an eye on credit card debt will be a very important part of this going forward. But here's the deal, right? For some reason, the amount of debt has always gone through the roof as money has become more common. It makes sense, right? More money means more loans, which means your money's worth less, so you need more of it to buy the same things you bought before. That's just how money works in the debt economy. In that case, I agree with Tom Lee that he makes some good points. I agree with him that 2025 will see at least one big rise. Before the end of the year, the stock market is expected to reach all-time highs. We are already seeing that happen with Bitcoin, at least in the crypto market. We also know that altcoins will make money in the end, but I don't care if that happens in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. I'll be ready for it whenever it does. If you aren't already, you can be ready for it whenever it does for free by clicking on the link below to my website and following our simple 3-step process. Guys, get on BTCC. Both of them are offering a great 10% deposit bonus. These deals are only available for a short time, so take advantage of them. Get great bonuses and join my Discord channel where I post all of my trades. In the last couple of months, we've made close to 300%, which is crazy. Thanks for watching, and please like and follow.